Baptists and the Independent Baptists, and they weren't all getting along. But it's gone way beyond that now. It's not just the Baptists getting along. It's the Baptists with the Pentecostals and the Nazarenes and the Methodists and all the what you would call the Protestant denominations, although that may not be totally accurate, but that's what a lot of people refer to it, non-Catholic. But now we have them all going along with, let's get along with the Mormons and a few Jehovah's Witnesses, and let's get along with the Roman Catholics, let's get along with Easter and work with the Jews, and Rick Warren's wanting to work with all the Muslims, and let's get everybody working together, because after all, if we work together, then we can make a change. That's the same kind of garbage that you hear out of the New World Order crowd. We all have to do it together. We all have to pitch in and work together. We can't all be fighting one another. I disagree. I absolutely disagree. I think that if you have a principle and you believe in that principle, and that principle is your religious idea, stick with it. And if people won't go along with it, then you know what, James Robinson identified himself as a Baptist evangelist. You know what that means? That means that he went around on the circuit preaching revival meetings, trying to get people saved, like Billy Graham used to. Trying to preach revival meetings and try to preach meetings. Why? So people would be saved. Why is he doing that with Glenn Beck? Why is he, and he almost, when he was talking about the Mormon, he said it was the Mormon people that helped Glenn through his alcoholism and addictions and all of his problems in his life, and they've really made a good person out of him. Really? Is that what it's come to? As long as some religion makes a good person out of somebody, then it's okay? I'm here to tell you it's not okay. It's not okay to get along with everybody just to go along with what everybody. It's not okay. Somebody's going to have to stand on a principle. Somebody's going to have to stand on the Bible, on the Word of God, and say, you know what? This is what I believe. This is who I am. This was my contract with God. I'm not altering it. I'm not changing for anybody. I would like for you to change for it. But that's what evangelism's all about. It's not about making good people. Evangelism is about saving people from hell. How do you save people from hell? You give them the gospel. You say, you believe on the Lord Jesus Christ. Believe the Bible, and you'll be saved. That's what it's about. James Robinson should know that. So it's just more ecumenical nonsense. You remember we did the video on the missing piece to try to make sense out of the ecumenical movement. We all got to work together. Everybody's got to work together now, and everybody's got to do this, and we're going to build a new world for Jesus. That's not how it's going to happen. And so some of you took note. I'm going to pull the picture up here. Here's what it looks like here. This is James Robinson speaking there. And then I want you to notice a little pillow in the background. Let me get rid of this pesky little Pastor Mike Online thing here. Now you can see it better. Okay? Now what it is, it's upside down. Okay? Now I flipped it, and now you can see what it really is. Okay? It's a skull and bones with a crown on it. A skull and bones with a crown on it. That, and when Glenn Beck started his Glenn Beck TV thing, that was his symbol. And I, to this day, don't know where in the world or how he dreamed that one up. Okay? But that's his symbol. The skull and bones with a crown on it. What does it mean? Well, let's make this easy. Okay? Let's make this real easy for everybody. First of all, ask yourself the question, where was Christ crucified? He was crucified on the place of the skull, Golgotha. Why was he crucified there? Because that skull, number one, the skull represents a dead person. Okay? It represents something that's dead. In the language of the symbolism, the Bible, the skull that is wounded represents the head of the Antichrist in Revelation chapter 13. You remember it was Jael, Heber's wife, that took a nail and smote Sisera through the skull. She pierced his skull. Well, think of what the cross did when they took the cross and jabbed it down in through the skull. That's the imagery that God was showing us, that he is defeating his enemies in their head. That's what he's doing. God said he would take their sin and put it on their head. When the high priest took the sin of Israel and laid his hands on the goat's head, he was transferring the sins of the world onto that head. That's what Christ was there on Golgotha. That's why he was killed there. You see, we showed these pictures of Mary Magdalene holding a skull all the time. She's mourning her dead husband. Who's her dead husband? It's Osiris, the sun god, who fell from heaven, and he's wandering the depths of the underworld. He's waiting to rise again. And Mary Magdalene, or these women holding this skull, that's what that picture is. But did you notice the crown? Notice the crown. Let me pull that picture back up again. And I want you to notice that it has a crown on it. Well, that tells you that that's a king. What king is it? Revelation chapter 9. Turn there. Revelation chapter 9. I love the Bible. I love this book. It's got so much chili and stew in it. Okay? Revelation 9:11. They had a king over them. Who did? Who was this king? Who was he over? This king is the king of Joel's army. Okay? Because they have the cheek teeth of lion and they sound like horses and chariots. Go read Joel chapter 1 and 2. You'll see it there. This is the locust, the scorpions with the hair of women and the faces of men, breastplates of iron, and then in Revelation 9:11, and there's 11 descriptions of these angels here. And then in Revelation 11, they had a king over them, which is the king of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. And both of those words basically mean destroyer. That's who this is. So, I mean, it's easy to identify what spirit someone is of by what symbol represents them. Okay? And the spirit that is driving Glenn Beck and James Robinson and all of these other people that are going along to get along with just the popular people, it's the spirit of Antichrist that's driving them. Let's all get together and let's all work together. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, I wanted to read an email, and I'm going to go to the emails now, okay? Without further delay. Where is it? Here is a guy wrote me at the tail end of Tuesday's broadcast, and I asked his permission to share this with you, and I thought that and he said, yes, please do. So here's what he wrote me. He said, thank you so much for the response to my question. I was going to email you back because I had watched one of your recent shows, and you pretty much answered my question, though not directly. He said, I was attending a church here in my area, and I liked it because the preaching was really good, although he taught from the New American Standard Bible. But at the time wasn't a problem with me. After seeing you break down all the changing and all the differences in the modern versions versus the King James, he said, I think I'll stick with the King James Version from now on. Thank you for that. The church was called Grace Point. Now, did you ever wonder what that meant? Okay? And I'm going to try to make this real simple for you. Okay? In fact, I'm going to pull up, I'm going to unite the two ideas here. I want you to take a look again at this skull and crossbones. Okay? Anytime you have two intersecting lines in occult imagery, that is called the cross point or the center point. Okay? Manly Hall describes it as the four lines there that make a set of crossbones. They represent the four elements. That would be the four base pairs of your DNA. And they say that out of the four elements rises up out of the center point or the crossing point or the connection point or the nexus of those two crossbones. At that center point rises up a fifth element called spirit or ether. And that is the Antichrist. It basically is making, when you put the skull with the bones, you're making a pentagram is what you're doing. And you have the power of the pentagram there. Okay? So the phrase grace point is a derivation of cross point or center point. You have churches named Cross Point, Center Point, Grace Point, things like that. Okay? And so he said the church was called Grace Point. A different kind of church. Well, I bet it is. Okay? And how do you get a different kind of church? You use a different kind of Bible. Okay? That's how you get it. And he said, oh, and they had rock-style band playing all the latest contemporary Christian music, but I had a problem with one thing. I took a membership class, which was required for becoming a member, and it was a 3-day class, an hour or two each time. The class was taught by the pastor in his office. He said, well, it seemed good enough and all, but he just kept on and on about the successes he had growing churches. We were given a church handbook that we followed along the teaching, what we believed, and all, that was fine. He said, I was a member of a big Baptist church here before attending Grace Point. What I'm getting at is that you could find nowhere in or outside of this church that it was a Baptist church, but at the very end of this handbook in the little bitty type was Southern Baptist Convention. So I asked him if the church was a member of the Southern Baptist Convention, and he said, well, yeah, we only joined so we could get funding for mission trips and stuff like that. That's what the pastor told him. He said, we only got in there for the money. Okay? It sounds typical. But anyway, well, that sort of bothered me, because I was under the impression that it was an independent church, which is what I was really wanting to attend. So that just seemed like deception to me, and I didn't like it. It is a seeker-sensitive church setting, although the pastor's preaching style didn't hold back on today's issues, government, etc. But I just want to attach a picture of one of the service flyers to show you their church logo and title, for lack of a better word. One question, and you don't have to respond: why the pyramid, and why is the letter I fixed? And you know what? I'm going to try to pull this up here. I wonder if I can find... And I don't think I can. I had it up on the screen when I first read this email. But their church logo has Grace Point, and it's got like a triangle going up. And where the letter I is in point is that they finished the triangle with like the I. Okay, the I over the letter I is the top part of the pyramid, and that's their logo. And he said, why the pyramid, and why is the letter I fixed with the missing dot of the I where it is? Is this coincidence? I don't know. Sorry for being long-winded. God bless you, Tony. And I said, you know, Tony, if you're listening today, you're right. You're dead on. Okay? You just look at their symbols. Okay? And here you have an unfinished pyramid and Grace Point, and that idea of the I over that pyramid basically is the God-man. It represents Horus. It represents the Antichrist. That's what that's all about. This is why you're not hearing what you're thinking you're going to hear in this church. And so anyway, Tony, I appreciate you writing in. Let me get some emails here. I'm just going to read emails. How's that? Linda from Ohio, just want to thank you for everything you do. God has blessed you with